Well, we have things that we could sanction. We have very draconian sanctions, and we'll see what happens. Right now, the strait is open. A lot of boats are coming through. People aren't reporting that, and that may slow down a little bit at some point. But right now, a lot of boats are coming through. The only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been infallible. It's a steel wall, and we let people in that we want to let in.
داره انجام میشه. نیروهای مسلح درگیرش هستن. به هر حال اونها صاحب نظر اصلی در این خصوص هستن. ممکن هست که به زودی به نتیجه
Maritime Trade Agency reported perhaps another tanker was hit by a drone within the last 24 hours.
Pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States.
I need you to forget everything the network anchors are telling you right now about the Middle East, because what is actually happening behind closed doors is straight out of a doomsday thriller. We just witnessed the most flawless, high-tech, devastating military strike of the 21st century. I am talking about a 90-minute absolute wipeout where the United States completely annihilated Iran's supposedly invincible island fortresses in the Persian Gulf. It was a masterclass in modern warfare. Total tactical victory, right? Wrong. The US actually just got outplayed on a level that is going to permanently change how global conflicts are fought from this day forward, and it has absolutely nothing to do with missiles, stealth fighters, or naval blockades. I am going to reveal exactly how that happened at the very end of this video, and trust me, the twist is going to blow your mind. But to understand the sheer scale of this colossal strategic failure, we have to talk about how rapidly the political situation is melting down. So, for the last couple of months, everyone has been holding their breath for this magical 60-day negotiation window to close out this incredibly brutal 24-week war with Iran. We were promised a wider peace deal. We were told an agreement was imminent. Well, Monday hit, the 60 days expired, and guess what? We have absolutely nothing. The ceasefire talks are completely deadlocked. There are zero concrete plans to end this thing. And the frustration in Washington has reached such a boiling point that President Trump just did the unthinkable. He went on Fox News and literally threatened to bomb Oman. Yes, you heard me correctly. Oman, a traditional US ally. Trump essentially said that if Oman gets in the way of American efforts to forcefully reopen the Strait of Hormuz, they are going to catch fire too. Why is he so furious at Oman? Because earlier that exact same day, Iran's foreign ministry openly bragged that Tehran had completely bypassed the United States and struck their own backdoor agreement with Oman to control future shipping routes in the strait. It was a massive slap in the face to Washington. While all of this is spiraling, Jared Kushner is frantically bouncing around the region, trying to put out fires that are already out of control. He was just in Egypt holding these ultra-high-stakes talks with Hamas leaders about a US-backed peace proposal for Gaza. A day later, he is sitting down with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, desperately trying to salvage the situation. But it is entirely pointless, because Netanyahu flat-out rejected that exact same US-backed proposal just last week. The diplomatic track is totally collapsing everywhere you look, and the petty back and forth between Washington and Tehran is honestly starting to look like a terrible reality show. Iran recently demanded financial compensation from the United States for the consequences of the war. Trump's response? He jumped on Truth Social and fired back, saying he is now demanding compensation from Iran for all the Americans killed or wounded by their roadside bombs over the years, and he ordered his team to forcefully include that demand in every single future negotiation. We are at a point where both sides are just screaming impossible demands at each other, while the world economy hangs by a thread. Now, President Trump stood in the Oval Office this week and boldly claimed the United States Navy is the only entity that controls the Strait of Hormuz right now. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin completely backed him up, telling reporters the military can maintain this blockade on Iranian ports for an indefinite period by just rotating ships in and out. But Iran's Central Command spokesperson, Ibrahim al-Zoghari, immediately went on the offensive, calling the U.S. claims of routine ship passage through the strait absolute lies. Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority posted that the waterway remains blocked and will not reopen until their specific conditions are met. So who is telling the truth? Well, if you look at what is happening to our own sailors, it paints a horrifying picture of what indefinite actually means. Lawmakers are raising massive red flags about the conditions on board the USS Abraham Lincoln. We are talking about reports in the Navy Times and Stars and Stripes detailing completely crashing morale and severe mental health crises among the crew. Al Jazeera even quoted a sailor's wife, Annabelle Loma, who revealed that her husband attempted to jump overboard because of the extreme, crushing burnout. We are burning our most elite naval crews to the ground, trying to hold an invisible line in the ocean. And the stakes could not be higher. The International Energy Agency is now projecting that global oil supplies in 2026 will plummet by about 4.3 million barrels per day. That is roughly 4% of the entire global supply vanishing because of this war. Now, here is the craziest part of this entire story. The sheer irony is that the US military actually pulled off an absolute miracle on the battlefield. I need to explain the geography here so you get how insane this operation was. The Strait of Hormuz is incredibly shallow, meaning massive supertankers have to squeeze through a tiny, deep-water transit channel. And sitting right on the edge of that channel are 3 islands: Greater Tunb, Lesser Tunb, and Abu Musa. For years, Iran fortified these rocks into what they proudly called their unsinkable aircraft carriers. They stuffed them with anti-ship cruise missiles, early warning radars, drone swarms, and fast attack boats. They thought they owned the choke point, but any seasoned combat commander will tell you the golden rule of modern warfare. Permanence is not protection. It is a targeting solution. If you stay in one place, you die. So, CENTCOM unleashes absolute hell. The US Navy kicks it off by firing a massive wave of ADM-160 mauled decoys. These are brilliant little air-launched drones that trick enemy radar into thinking they are seeing a massive incoming fleet of heavy bombers. The Iranian commanders completely panic and power up every single surface-to-air missile battery they have, completely exposing their exact coordinates. The second they do that, F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters, completely invisible to radar, paint those targets. Then the horizon just erupts. US destroyers and attack submarines launch a devastating swarm of Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles, combined with AGM-158C long-range anti-ship missiles. These things are terrifying. They skim the surface of the ocean, talk to each other in mid-air, evade air defenses, and slam into their targets with unbelievable precision. In exactly 90 minutes, the unsinkable aircraft carriers were reduced to absolute rubble. The underground bunkers collapsed, the drone catapults were vaporized, the radar dishes were shredded. It was a flawless, overwhelming kinetic victory. The US military completely wiped the physical threat off the map. So, if the US destroyed the fortresses and the stealth fighters own the sky, and the destroyers own the water, the Strait of Hormuz should be completely open for business, right? Well, here is the massive, world-altering twist that nobody saw coming. Before this war, we saw roughly 120 to 140 massive commercial ships passing through that strait every single day. Do you want to know what the traffic looks like right now, after our flawless military victory? 39 ships. Not a day. A week. 39 ships a week. Traffic has virtually completely collapsed. Why? Because of the one thing the United States military completely failed to account for. You cannot bomb an insurance premium. You cannot drop a Tomahawk cruise missile on the risk calculus of a maritime underwriter in London. The actuaries at Lloyd's of London watched the exact same brilliant 90-minute light show that we did, and their conclusion was incredibly simple. The Middle East is a totally unpredictable, highly active war zone. You have an American president threatening to bomb Oman. You have a collapsed peace process. You have zero diplomatic off-ramps. The geopolitical risk is so utterly astronomical that the insurance syndicates spiked their premiums to levels that are mathematically impossible for global shipping conglomerates to pay. They literally cannot afford to send their supertankers through the water, no matter how many American aircraft carriers are guarding the lane. The US military did exactly what it was built to do. They executed a masterpiece of tactical violence and won the physical battle space. But they are learning the most brutal lesson of the modern world in real time. You can destroy every single missile the enemy has. You can own the ocean, but if the global financial markets do not believe you can maintain actual stability, you still lose the war. The United States achieved absolute tactical perfection, but it resulted in total strategic paralysis. We own the water, guys, but nobody can afford to sail on it.